Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And today is Tuesday, and I thought, I was really wrestling between two of the lessons to talk about this morning. I really wanted to talk about the lesson from St. James because we're in the 5th chapter and he speaks about the healing ministry. And of course, we know how important the healing ministry is in the church, and especially here at St. John's Church. And so I do want to jump over to the reading from Job as well. So we're going to go with that one. Just suffice it to say, read the lesson from St. James, the epistle to St. James, from St. James, the 5th chapter, beginning at the beginning, just read the chapter and hear what it has to say about the healing ministry and how it is that we should live. But I wanted to talk about Job today, chapter 38, beginning at verse number 1. There's a little skip in the middle, but this is important. Remember, what Job has set up in the book is that this terrible stuff happens to him, and all of his friends come and they tell him what he's done wrong, right? This must be happening because of X, Y, and Z. The only difference, the biggest difference between what Job does and what his friends does is that all of his friends talk about God, but only Job talks to God. He actually prays. And he tells God probably the worst type of prayer ever. And that is, he goes ahead and he tells God what he must do and what he should do. And here, because it's unfair. And in a sense, we know the beginning of the story, it does feel really unfair. But Job speaks to God, and here is God's response. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Right? The opposite of what he did. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth, as if it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and the thick darkness a swaddling band for it? And break up it for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors? And said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare, if thou knowest it all, right? So here's God's response in this particular book, whereas Job tells God exactly how unfair it is and how God should do this, that, and the other thing to make it right. Here's God saying, hey, where were you when I created the earth, right? I'm God. You're not. Now, this was a great insight to me when I read the book by Dr. Peter Crave called The Three Philosophies of Life. The book, and that book deals with the book of Job, the book of Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs. And it gives you three philosophies of life. The Song of Songs is that life is all about love. Ecclesiastes says that life is all vanity. And of course here in Job, we know that the story is that life is suffering. And it's Dr. Kraft who pointed out to me, it just opened my eyes, that the reality is that what Job does right in this, even if he does it in an awkward and distorted way, Job's the only one who talks to God. He never gives up on God. And even though he's telling God what to do, what we will discover is that because God spoke to him, in fact, he's satisfied. That's enough, right? How often in our lives do we set up, if God would just do this, and if God would just do that, and then we find a part of our prayers answered, perhaps answered in a way we never imagined, and we go, okay, I'm good with this. I hope we can do that. I mean, we shouldn't be setting up parameters for God, but you know what? God is big enough. It'd be a greater tragedy if you stop talking to him. When everybody else is talking about him, we in the life of prayer must continue, more importantly, to talk to him. Today's Tuesday. We have 12:15 Holy Communion, 5 o'clock evening prayer. And tonight is the first night of our Alpha Course. The Alpha Course is a wonderful opportunity to both introduce Christianity to those who don't know who Jesus Christ is, as well as a great way for those who are in the church to have their faith renewed. And we will be starting a second session of this in January and another one in April, a third one. So, I'll let you know how this one's going. And we will let you know when the signups are available for January and in April. But I do hope today, Tuesday, you have a wonderful day. May God bless you.